Hello, this is Max Drake. I'd just like to talk about this program, which is File Save Launch. It's a little program that I've been doing there. It's just started into the toolbar, and if I click on it here, it comes up with a list of files. So what I can actually do is I can select a file through here. So I'm going to select a file, and it's going to bring me into a specific directory that I preset through here. And I'm going to select a file, and I'm going to go OK through there. What is it about that particular file that I want to keep? And I'm just going to say plants in Willow reference. Keep file growing. And I'm going to go OK. And what project? It's gardening. I'm going to put it in gardening. Blue, and go OK. And then it comes up and we can see we've got that one through there now. So now we've selected that. If I double click on that one there, it will open up the file that it's associated with, and there I've got it ready to view. So this is a bit like File Explorer, nothing there, and it gives me the name of the file through there. And if I need a bit more, I can actually drag that column across and it'll tell me what that one is. It's a PDF and things like that. That's one way of doing it. I can actually just close that and bring it back up again, and the way to activate this program is you just use the Win key and the spacebar together. So you just hold down the Win key and then belt spacebar and up it pops. So all you need to do is just click anywhere on that line and it will activate that one here. Now it'll do it the same with a directory. So if I click on above that one there, it will now go and open File Explorer and open up to that folder that we were there. So I'm working on code, so here I can actually access those codes. But I don't know, I'm not working on any specific file. I might be working on a number of files that just take me to the directory overall for that. So that's what that one there does. So also, so I can come back here again, and so I've got the name of the file, but I've also got the information with it. So this is an issue that I actually have had, is that I might do pick up a project and put it down, and I might come back to it a month later, or I might end up doing 3 or 4 design variations, and then I don't want to end up with this massive long file extension name for each of the different variations. I can actually just put a little note that gives me a pointer. So I've got the file, and so I could actually just have V2 or V3, and then this one gives an explanation of what that particular file is. So if I put that project down and somebody says, oh, come back to me and give me that. Another thing that actually happens is that suddenly I'll have done a little batch of PDFs or something associated. This is to do with the latest BIM programs and things like that. You can only, in the old CAD, you could have 4 or 5 designs sitting in the background inside the model space, and yet you could only be displaying one particular design feature that you actually want, but the other ones were sitting in the background. With the BIM, the way that works, because of all the complexity of the 3D modeling, you actually have got to make a decision and follow on. So if you want to do a whole lot of different variations to show different alternatives, you've got to create different files. So you're suddenly thinking, which file was it in? So this is where my frustration ended up. So I wanted some way of being able to just put a descriptor against a file. And it's bloody hard to do. It's quite awkward to actually find a convenient way to do it. And in this one here, I can actually sort things now. I can sort by ascending or descending. So I've now got that on the number at the front. I've got it on the extension. So if I'm suddenly thinking, I'm actually looking for a directory, so I can come down here. Oh, this is the one that I'm looking for. Or I can sort by date. Or I can sort by project, so I can actually have a project code, so I can have an importance level of something like 0 is really important, and 40 is something like indifferent, or 40 is important, and the other one isn't. Or it might actually be an actual project code number or name or something that might actually have some sort of relevance. And inside here, I've actually got the file path. So what happens when I select a file is it creates the whole file path, and then it strips out the extension and puts the extension in the folder. It remembers the day when it actually did it, and then it allows you to put a project and a description on that. And as soon as you click on anywhere on that particular row, it will then open up a program associated with it. So that's fine, but it's sort of bespoke for my computer because I'm using a lot of specific programs. So there's another couple of things that we can do in here. First of all, we might actually find that after a while a link becomes invalid. So we can suddenly say, if I actually just have this, I'm going to create one here. So I'm going to select the file, and we'll go down and find another one. Order brochure there, and we just go open there, and we're going to go there, and we're just going to say PDF test, and we're going to go OK, and we're not even going to give it a project name through there. And then another one that I'm going to do is that I'm going to select another file, and it's going to be, and this is one that's quite interesting for me, is I'll have a few screenshots. So I've got some screenshots in there that I'm actually using for articles, and then I blow them away. So test screenshot of cooking, blah. So I've got the thing handy somewhere where I'm suddenly doing a design, and I'm going to project under cook, we'll say there, and we're just going to go OK there. So what this means is that I might collect 3 or 4 photos or screenshots or something like that of ready for doing an article, that I want to go and find where those are later on. So when I actually come to write the article, I can actually upload those images when I know which ones they are. So if I click on this image now, it's going to go through and open up that file. Now I'm suddenly thinking, right, let's have a file view. Now here's a couple of things that I want to go through. So we're just going to come through here. First of all, I've actually made the file. If we just go and look at the actual project files themselves, we've got an auto hotkey one. So that means that if you've got it on your computer, you've got to run auto hotkey. You've got to have an auto hotkey program on your computer. But if you've got the file and the exe, and you run the exe, you just run the exe. You don't actually need auto hotkeys or anything to do with it. But you need the exe file, the ini file, and the text file. The text file is the database. The ini file is the ones which you can then tweak and adjust to what you need. So let's just go back into that. So inside the file itself, we can go and edit the ini file. So we'll just go yes for that, and we'll see that we've got nothing else. So in here, we've got the counter through here. So this is counting. So every time I add another row into the file, it counts up another number. So as long as the number's higher than the one before, you're okay. It's good for sorting. Then the column width. So the first one is the counter through here. So we're up to 54 at the moment. So the next one, if I do another one, it'll go into 55 and make a new row through here. So this is handy if I want to delete, say, row 52. So we're going to delete row 52. So if we say 52, delete, off it pops again, and you'll see 52 is missing. We can then adjust the width of this column here if somebody wants to see a bit more of the table through here, and they want to see, or the path, or they increase the text size, then they can increase. And then also the button width. If you shrink it down, maybe the buttons you may actually have to shrink and make them a bit smaller. So that's something you can do. There's also the colors. Like at the moment I've got a purple. Let's go and make that orange. So we can make the color of the oops, I missed that first F. Oops, Z. So if I take that, the hex color is after the O and the X. Actually, I think it says it somewhere. So you're just going to delete that right there. So if we save that now, and now if I reload that, you'll see it's now in orange. So instead of purple, so it's a little bit of styling that you can do. And like if you end up with a very pale background color, you might want to make your text color. At the moment, that text color is white, but you could make it black, or a deep purple or something like that. The folder locations where you start. Now with these folder locations, when it starts up, it remembers these. So if you alter these, you've got to restart up the program. So if you restart up the program, you just exit app. I've got it pinned to my taskbar down here, so it just starts it up again. So if I now want to say, go and start on my NAS drive on a different computer, I'm actually going to alter this and say, don't start in the downloads drive there. We're going to go through there. We're going to exit the app, because and now when I start it again, when I started again through here, and we woke it up there, if I go select folder, it's going onto my W drive, and I can go and find a music file. Oh, sorry, it's a folder. So I'm now going to get a folder through here, and I'm going to say Rush of Blood music folder, and go OK. And the project is 1, and we go OK. And then when that comes up, there it is. So now if I click on that now, it should open up in Explorer, and should take me to that location. And there it is. So that's quite nice. So it'll work across devices and things like that. So that's a handy thing to have. So again, I don't have to remember where the blooming files are. All I need to do is just a note on where it is. So I'm going to go back to my initial folder, because I keep a lot of mine in downloads. But some of the folders I actually keep, or some of the files I keep, are in the what's the other one? Documents. So some of those I could actually do. So I can actually change those path, but I'd actually have to come through and exit the app, or I could actually have one which might restart the app, but I don't do it that frequently. It's one of those things, once you set and forget it, it's there. Another thing with this, when it's actually in your tray icon at the bottom, if you right hand click for your context menu, there's a help file that actually just brings you to this, page here, that actually goes through and explains all of the setups for it. So how you do your setups for certain things, and also how you do your ini file setup. So this is where your ini file, and an ini file in the auto hotkey, well, for this one here, if we just go back into that tool there again and go into ini file, is it has a thing called a key value pair. So here's the key, and the key is called GUI text color, and here's the value. So when it does, the program calls the key and it returns the value. So therefore, this is why I built it in a way, in this way, is that to get to my PDF files on my computer, I'm using a program, Adobe Acrobat. I could, and I'm actually going to do that here now. I'm going to copy and paste it. Oops. B, oops, you can go away. B, we paste it into there, and we just rem the original one out here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start mine. You can actually start your PDFs if you want inside a browser. Slow, but it works. So my PDF, instead of actually going through that, we're now starting to browse. Oh, it didn't work. What happened to you? B. No, I must have not selected it. Copy and B. Paste. Okay, then you're going to make sure that those colons. So as long as it's in there. So now, if I actually just come into my PDF one and I find myself a PDF and click on that PDF, it now opens up in my browser. So you can choose how you want to activate a program yourself. So to a certain extent, you can do this inside of, I find PDFs in browsers a bit slow. So my preference would be to come back into here again, go and edit my ini file and actually say, no, although there is the alternative to do it that way, I'll actually do it that way there and go save. So I haven't had to restart the program. And straight away, if I come back into there and I just sort by PDF so I can find one, and I found another test one through there, it starts up in Adobe. So, the reason why I've done this in the ini file is so that on your particular computer, in your particular setup, I've got Excel in Office 16. Now, how do you find where your particular file or how a certain file is actually triggered? If you come down and I use the taskbar an awful lot. So if I've got Excel down in the taskbar, if I right hand click on that, and then I right hand click on the Excel icon, it brings up a properties. So if I click on properties, it gives you the target. So if you copy that target and if I paste that target there, that's where it's going to go to start that program. So it's going to go and find it. But yours might be in a place called Office 12 or Office 14 or something like that. And the game with another thing with this. Now, I just want to use this example through here about for the debugging if you do have some difficulties in it. Now, the program for doing photos on Windows 10 is one called Photos, and but it doesn't seem to work. It's an app rather than exe file. So even if I have exe, it doesn't work. But let's just try this out. So I'm saving this. Now I'm just going to go and find myself a JPEG file. So let's just sort and find a JPEG file. Now when I click on that file, I double click on it, and it says could not launch the JPEG extension file with photos.exe. So it asks you two questions. Does the file exist? Now this is an important one with me because this is in screenshots. So this one I clean these out regularly. So that link may have died. So I might be suddenly thinking, oh, the program that it works with is broken. But in fact, that might not be the case. The file might not exist anymore. I've moved it somewhere else. And then perhaps it's not associated with anything. So therefore, the file association doesn't work. So what I can actually do now is that if I convert over and I just use this other JPEG file, I'm suddenly thinking, well, yes, I know that file does exist. So I'm just going to save that. And I'm just going to go back into there and I'm just going to go and find that JPEG file. And it opens it up. So that is a method of doing it. Now, I did have a lot of issues with my image files. And in the end, I actually downloaded a free one, an image, this one called Image Glass, that will view those files, and it works there. I was doing it with, I've got this odd Windeer System 32 MS Paint that wasn't working, and I was getting a few ones temperamental. Now with the directory, if I create if I'm going and using a folder link where I'm coming through and selecting a folder, I define the folder because the folder doesn't have an extension. I give it an extension called dir. So every time it sees the dir, it says open up Explorer. And so the Explorer will open up, ready to open up that folder. So what you can do is if you do have different file types or you want certain programs to open up certain file types, like a CSV file, I can open up a CSV file in Excel, or I can open up a CSV file in a text editing file. So I can choose, I can switch between them. If I just want to do a quick and dirty bit of editing into a CSV file, I don't need to open up Excel and wait for it to open up. If I've got Excel open already, then fine, I can just fire it out. But a lot of the times I don't. So I find it a bit tedious when I just want to do something quickly. So I can choose what program that I do with it. And the same with the text program. With the text program, I can actually say, make it Notepad. I prefer Notepad++, but I'm saving this now. So what this does, it doesn't actually start a program up inside. All of those associations with file types are in the ini file, so you can associate whatever your preferences are. But if they don't work, it comes up with the error such that you can go and debug them as well. So that's the idea behind this thing here. So on this one here, if I just come back up here and I just suddenly saying I want a CSV file. Now if I see a CSV file, I've got it set up now that it's going to open up in Notepad. So it does open up Notepad. Now that looks pretty complicated. There's lots of tables to go through there, so that would be better opened up in Excel on that one. It would be not something you can quickly do a quick edit on something like that. So I might suddenly say, no, I'll go back into my CSV file and now open it up into Excel. I'm not going to do it at this point in time because it takes. And I can. So that's how you associate a program with where the program executable is. And so we have this thing called a key and a value, and the key is, so instead of doing if it's PDF then go and find this, if you go to do this, it just says go and find the key. So it's a type extension XLSX, so then use that program. It's a GIF, go and use that program. It's a HTML, go and use that program. So for the HTML one, we just have, and if we just go and find ourselves an HTML one, That's just saying go and use Firefox. Now, I use Firefox because I don't like using Chrome. I use some Google stuff, and I use some Microsoft stuff, and I also try and use other people's alternatives. I like to spread my thing so all my data's not in one place. Everybody's got to work for it. So I can test out those files inside my browsers as well. So there's a help file. I'll be putting the video, this video here, in this link file here, so you can actually go and debug and sort yourself out through there. If there's things that you actually want, you can send me an email. I think I might put my email at the bottom here. I think it's actually on my web page there anyway. So if you just go back to the home on the web page, it'll give you some information on that. So there's help files there, and you can get to them by just going into the tray menu for there. To exit the app, you can exit it from there, or you just use the window and the space keys, and you can exit the app at that point there. To restart it again, I've got it fixed on the taskbar there. This is something that I find very convenient, so I think there's a contact for some of my information through there as well if you want those. So I hope people will use it. I did do a bit of looking around for some of these. There was one called Quick Links, which I wrote an article on, and there is a video on that as well. And that used shortcut links for the files. But again, with the shortcut links, it didn't give you the description such that you can do those. And that's the other reason why inside the code, why quit it, I'll start it again. So it's a lot faster now. So inside here, this is one of the reasons why I've actually got this edit data file. And that's one of the reasons why if I wanted to come through and so I came into the file itself and I suddenly thought number 29, I want to raise the importance of that. At the moment, I've got it as a project code 10. I want it as a project code 1 or 0, so it sits at the top. So what was that? I can't remember which one it was now. So I'm just going to close the table and I'll start it again. And then we'll say that number 48. So number 48, I've already got that as a priority. The notes one, I've got as an 09. So what was the notes one? The notes one was 00 through there. So there's a 00 through here. And the reason why I've actually got this one here is this was something I wanted to keep as a priority. So here, keep, and it's text, I've got the date. So I'm going to make that, instead of 09, I'm going to make that priority O. So when I restart that again, and if I just go by project code, I've now got these ones sitting at the top. So although I might have done them at an earlier date or something, sorry, I've got to click on the date, and I might be difficult to find that way, I've got enough things to do. So I can sort by the beginning number in reverse order. I can sort by the extension directory here, and this is one of the things, because of my initial count was 1, 2, 3, and then I actually ended up wanting to put things of better importance. I can actually suddenly say, well, this one I'm not using as much, but this one, number 11, I'm using far more frequently. I can actually now make number 11 07 and number 7 number 11. So when although you see it's still got this odd thing here, like 00 is down here, when I actually open it up and sort through here, I've actually got here. So this is just a copy through here. Now I just really want to talk about how delete works down here. So let's just delete something as I was an example. So I'm just going to go out and refresh it. And that last music one coming through there, a rush of blood, I don't want that. Oh, sorry, this is an image file and I don't want to use it anymore. So what I can do is say delete row number 54. Now what it does is it loops through the whole of this launch file and it just says, are you 54, are you 54, are you 54? And it says no, and then you say write that line to a new file. So it just goes through that whole file and just writes a line until it gets to 54, and it says ignore that, don't append that line to the new file. And once it's created the new file, It then deletes this file. So once I go OK to 54, you'll see then it asks me if I want to reload this file. So you'll see 54 will disappear, because what it's done is it's deleted that old file and it's taken the updated file, which I think is called update or something like that, and it's written over the original file. So that's what it's actually doing. It's quite a complicated thing. I can't just delete something out of it. So I can't suddenly say, oh, this one here, click on that and it's just going to delete that item there. It doesn't. It's going to do the trigger. So the screen or this here is really just triggering your files. Now, what I really love about this, I hope I haven't gone and done anything powerful. Oh, good, that's fine. What I find really good is I don't have to know where any of these files are, and I keep my files in all sorts of places. In fact, my project files are not in downloads. I've got to go back up and into documents to actually find out where a lot of my files are. And also, again, a lot of the project directories that I'm doing, I've got, with a lot of the projects that I do quite a lot of prints, because I like clients to have a lot of alternatives. You know, they're paying the money, and to me, they should be making decisions. I should be giving them options, and if they go and choose bad options, I advise them why they're bad options. But if they still want bad options, that's their choice. It's their money. But you know, if it's an aesthetic or something like that, you know, I can throw my tantrums and do things like that. The other thing with this as well, if you do find it a file, test a file to see whether it's done or not, and again, is just basically come into a program and actually just go and test it. So you can actually just go and see if the file is actually there, and it's gone and opened it up inside Explorer through there. Now, another thing just to be wary of is it seems to be opening up lots. Instead of, it doesn't only open up one instance of it. It seems to open up a specific instance each time you do something. So when I'm doing a demo like this, it's opening up a massive amount of Explorers options to do those, rather than just reusing one. Now, some programs it tends to reuse, other ones it doesn't reuse at all. It just it creates a new instance each time. So if you're doing if you're jumping around through a lot of files in a day, just be aware that you may need to go and shut some of the things down. So it's not perfect. It was just something that I wanted to restylize to suit the way that I work, and I do find that the notes, the descriptions, do work for me. They do have a good bit of meaning for what I want, and I do find them a useful way of quickly getting to the file. Because another one, even with pop-up, I'm actually having to do quite a lot of going in, like with issues. I've actually got one called Issues Latest, and although it isn't the latest of the latest, it's near the top, such that I've then got to go through and start suddenly figuring out which one's the latest one that I actually need, or something like that. So just being able to say, that's a project that I've just worked on recently, that's where those files are. I can ignore that for later on, and I've got that date that, you know, is to do with security. And I was only thinking, well, the next one might be to do with water bladder, rainwater bladder, or something like that, and the next one might be to do with security cameras or something. Is that I can actually just have those folders easily accessible, that I don't have to hunt way through them. I've got them in one place. I can do a sort, so I can actually say it's a directory. There's a directory, and there's the ones to do with a certain project. So that's the ones that I want, so I can actually do that with the project and then do a directory. I actually haven't done a double sort, but maybe that's what you do. You then suddenly get all the OPs, and you do an extension, and then you do a project. And a lot of the times you get the grouping such that you can quickly find the directories relevant for those. I have done in Excel, you do a filter and a sort or a double sort to actually get to where you are. So maybe other people, maybe somebody might want to take it further to make it a better tool. This is as far as I've taken it, because it works for me this way. I've tried to make it generic enough such that people can put their own things in. Like if they end up doing a lot of JSON files, they can go into the ini file and end up with a program that specifically does a JSON file, or they're doing XML files, or any specific ones that they're working in. They can farm those associations such that they do them, especially if you've got specific programs that Paintbrush or this and that and the other. And again, switching the files over and having that accessible, that you're suddenly thinking, well, I'm going to edit a CSV and then I'm actually going to go and open it in Explorer. You can switch over very easily and it does it. But it will conflict if you've got two of the same sort. So maybe you actually just go CSV1 and you have two and the other one's just called one, so that you do it. Or again, you just comment out as to which ones you actually use. So I actually have had to spend a little bit of time debugging some of the things, but overall I do find it useful. Another one might be being able to quickly thinking about it now, is that if you just keep on ended up with lots and lots of instances of the same one, especially if you've got a heavy program like you're doing images and you've got GIMP, and every time you click on a GIMP you've got another one, it might be better just to be able to get the path of a file and put it into the actual program itself, so that you're opening up that file, rather than having 4 instances of GIMP and then suddenly thinking, well, that's just chewed up an awful lot of resource, or there's all sorts of things with that. So thank you very much for watching. I'll put the links into where you can actually get everything, both the links for downloading from GitHub and the help files and everything like that. I just really wanted to make sure that you had the support required for the program itself. So thank you very much for watching. Thumbs up if you found it useful.